Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast helping your family cruise a little smarter. And I'd like to welcome back to the show. She's actually on land, getting ready to step back on a ship, but we caught her before she got back on. How you doing today, Christy?
Busy, Steve. How are you?
Busy. Well, it should be easy. You're going to be on a ship over Christmas, so no pressure, right?
Right, except for the 4 work days that are before that next week. No big deal. Unplanned days off.
Unplanned days off. Well, I'm excited to hear what it's like to be on a Disney Cruise Line ship over Christmas. So we have got another trip report with one of our amazing friends who has helped us out in so many different ways with this podcast. And because you guys have spent some time together every now and then, I'm going to let you introduce her to our show.
Well, I mean, what's left to say? But she is an amazing friend of the show, an amazing friend in general. Super funny, super fun. Our Instagram extraordinaire. Welcome back to the show, Amber.
Hello, Steve and Christy. And I still haven't met Chris. Where is he?
He'll be here Marathon Weekend.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Are we seeing you Marathon Weekend?
No.
I mean, You're in town, right? So
I do live here, but I'm not running anything. No.
Well, Chris is busy with all those things going on down at Disneyland and everything like that. But we're going to have to get you on a podcast with him soon because he is becoming the person that everybody is like, oh, I thought Chris was going to be here. How come Chris isn't there? I wanted to be Chris.
He's like the wonder. He's that whale, right?
He's the great white whale of the DCL podcast. I shouldn't say that. He's really
not in a weight category, in an elusive category.
Exactly. Well, let's turn our thoughts to Christmas. You were going to be sailing Christmas, Christy, but Amber, you were able to sail on a Very Merrytime cruise just this last month, weren't you?
I had been on one probably 7 or 8 years ago, so I was super excited to do one more recently. And I went on the Magic. Maybe I just spoiled what you're about to say, Steve. And I hadn't been on the Magic in, 10 or 15 years. So definitely pre-Rapunzel's. I'd been on the Magic. So I was super excited for that.
Had the lobby been redone? I can't even remember when they redid the lobby where they went from 2 staircases to 1.
Oh, I don't remember.
That's okay. I was trying to remember when they did that because it's just been so long ago. Well, before we talk about the Magic, I know that you and your family have had the opportunity to sail with Disney Cruise Line before that. You've been on several different sailings. You taking full advantage of those Florida residency rates, I know, down there. What's the experience been like out there on the seas? Because we've got a lot of people that are getting ready to cruise for the first time. I've seen through Facebook groups, people are a little bit nervous still getting back with Disney Cruise Line. What's your experience been like?
Granted, I live in Orlando, so I've been going to the parks all during COVID and things like that. So I'm very accustomed to wearing a mask. And to be quite honest, I feel very safe in the parks and on the cruise because they're so anal about mask wearing. And the cruises all that I've been on have been pretty empty. At dinner, you're not seated next to anybody else. The tables are really spread out or just empty. At the theater, you're still super spread out. Every other row, 4 seats in between you and the party in front of you. At the fireworks, there are dots all over the floor. So you're just super spread out. So if anyone's worried about it, in my opinion, you should not be worried at all.
And that's kind of what we've been hearing, right, Christy? And you've been on several cruises as well.
Yes. And you, Steve, we're just on over Thanksgiving, so you're familiar. But right now, there is still social distancing, physical distancing on the cruise ship. So it is. And everybody's testing before they cruise. So at least for that snapshot of time, it's something to go by. In the rest of the world, when we leave our house, we basically don't know if people have been tested or vaccinated or any of those things. But right now on Disney Cruise Line, you have to be. So, and just as a note for our listeners, all children over the age of 5, starting January 13th, will have to be vaccinated as well. So just something to keep in mind if you have a cruise coming up.
So Amber, you are a family of 3, you, your husband and your daughter. You guys head down to Miami. But before we get to Miami, we're going to drive by. Do you have something to say, Christy?
No, I want to know how it was getting to Miami from the Walt Disney World area,
Before we get down to Miami and finding out how you got to Miami, we're going to go by the port of Port Everglades down there in Fort Lauderdale. Any thoughts on them moving a ship to Port Everglades versus Miami, being a Florida resident?
I'm embarrassingly horrific at my Florida geography, but So I don't even know where that port is. Is that
It is
closer?
45 minutes closer to our houses.
Fantastic. Because I mean, Christy and I are famously car sick and everything, motion sickness. So driving to Miami is not fun for me. My daughter also, after the cruise is over, said, I don't ever want to drive to Miami again. So yeah, if it's closer, I am 100% all for that.
And then you'll be able to tell her, we're not driving to Miami. We're driving to Fort Lauderdale.
Totally different.
How was the driving to Miami from the Walt Disney World area?
Because we're kind of wimps in the car, we did leave the night before. We left like after dinner. We probably drove 3 hours and stayed at some just random hotel that was like an hour away. Did
you set that up ahead of time?
We did, just because, this was Friday night. We thought it might be popular. We set it up like a week in advance. Nothing crazy.
Was it one of the other like port towns that are on, was it maybe on the coast side, or did you drive through the middle of the state?
My husband did all the driving. We were just on the turnpike the whole way. So yeah, I just told my husband, let's just stop somewhere on the turnpike. He's like, I don't think you understand. There's nothing on the turnpike. It's just a road. Mm-hmm. So that's why we had planned it ahead of time. But it was a big town. I wish I knew where it was, but it was about an hour out of Miami. The next morning we drove about an hour.
Okay. And how did that all feel? Are you happy that you did the drive in 2 sets?
I wasn't a big fan of spending money on a hotel that was 100% unnecessary. It was cozy, just like casually waking up the morning of the cruise, casually finding an Old Navy because I'd forgotten to pack pants. And you know how cold these cruises are. They're freezing. So we had plenty of time to go to Old Navy for me to try on 87 pairs of jeans before I found a pair. And then, I think our check-in time was 11-ish. So it was just very casual, plenty of time to get there.
So parking at the Port of Miami, any problems with that, or any advice for people that are going to be parking there?
I wouldn't call it a problem, but the whole port is under construction and there's just 0 signs. So when you pull in, we took a wrong turn because we were just guessing. The ship, I'm going to completely make this up, is in like B or C or D. And then you park over in the G section, which is super far. So you park super far. You have to get on a sketchy bus, to go to the port. So it's not a problem, but I guess I'm just spoiled with Port Canaveral, where you park in this beautiful building and you just walk across the street and you're right there. So that wouldn't deter me from going back to Miami, parking far away and taking a gross bus. But it was just like, meh, this kind of stinks. But what are you going to do?
And I assume that you weren't able to test in your car like you do at Port Canaveral, right? You have to test in the building.
Yeah, that's a good point. One of my friends had warned me about that. She's like, yeah, you do the test and then you sit in a lobby with every other person. And if you're positive, you're in a room with 1 billion people. So it kind of felt weird, but it was cool to wait in a air-conditioned building versus my hot car.
And Royal Caribbean is like that. Even at Port Canaveral, you test in your own car. I mean, in the building with everybody. So not in the car like you do with Disney Cruise Line if you happen to be driving to the port, which it might be warm, but I kind of like being in my own little bubble for as long as possible.
It does seem counterproductive that like, let's put all these people in a room together and one of them might have COVID. We'll find out in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. I love that. All right. So this is a Disney Magic Cruise, as you said, or maybe you haven't said, but they left November 13th. It was a 5-night. You guys go to Castaway twice, Nassau once. So that gives you 1 day at sea?
Yes.
1 day at sea. Okay. And you guys hadn't been on the Magic in quite a while. After the testing process, what was like the embarkation process in Miami? And I think we heard from Dennis that normally you come back up on deck 4 in Miami. That's what we've done in the past, but he came in on deck 3. Did they change that for you guys too?
Yeah, no, we were at the normal deck.
So the lobby deck, or when you walk in, you get the whole grand lobby reveal and everything like that. Where in the past of Miami, it's kind of like the other cruise ships where you kind of come in some sketchy door, you walk down the hallway, and then you're at deck 4. But I'm glad that they changed that around, so you guys are coming straight into the lobby.
Yeah, so they had the show. Everyone talks about it. There's just Minnie waving for about 3 seconds, and then you move along. But that was, fun.
What were you guys excited about getting back on board? 1, the Magic, but 2, at Christmas time as well.
Yeah, it was probably 50-50, 50% excited about the Magic. My daughter and husband had never been on the Magic. So this was their grand slam. Like I said, I hadn't been since, I don't know, forever. My daughter and husband also had never been on a Christmas cruise. So we were excited for both of those things.
And how were the decorations? The dream was pretty amazing as we walked in.
Yeah, it was cool. The tree was huge. It was kind of like, I'll say sea glass colors, like browns and blues and greens. And it's a two-story two-story lobby. So it was all decorated there. Besides that, there's stuff here and there. I wouldn't say anything too exciting, but the lobby is beautiful.
Appreciate that little Christmas spirit, kind of as you walk on Main Street with the tree and everything like that, and the castle in the background.
Exactly.
So recently, everybody we've talked to has generally tended to go to the sit-down lunch. What did you guys do, Amber?
Oh, you know me, I'm 100% cabanas. So
Amber's not wasting time on a whole sit-down lunch.
Plus, by now it's like 1 p.m. and we're like starving. So yeah, we shot up to cabanas and it was the same as every other cruise. There's way less options, which it's a kind of a bummer, but I'm kind of okay with. There's still plenty of food to go around. So yeah, we definitely did cabanas for lunch. And then I think we did, you got to do your little find your station, which I think we can all say is amazing that you don't have to go at a certain time and wait outside in the sun. And I think we bummed around. I think my daughter had the kids club later. Of course, cruising out of Miami is pretty cool because you can see the skyline and all those like super huge houses along the beach. And then we had Rapunzel's for dinner that night. So that was very exciting since we had never been there.
Before we get to dining in Rapunzel's, what kind of cabin did you have?
We had a balcony. I want to say it was on deck 6. So like right in the middle of everything. We did a Florida resident rate. So it was a guaranteed. It was guaranteed balcony since that's what we booked. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. Deck 6 was great because 1 floor down was the kids club. A couple floors down was the lobby. The Magic is so tiny. So what was it? 3 or 4 floors up was the pool. So I was a big fan of our room.
We love deck 6. It's super easy to get down to, like you said, the lobby and the kids clubs for the kids. And it's only 3 floors up to get to the pool deck, cabanas and everything else up there. Do you have a favorite on the Dream Class ships then, as far as the floors or where to stay?
Concierge.
Not to be honest, no, we always do guaranteed rooms. So they just put us wherever. Those ships are so big, so you're never in the middle of everything. So you're either like real close to cabanas, which is cool, or you're real close to the lobby, which is also cool, but there's always a trade-off. Whereas on the Magic, you were just close to everything. It was amazing.
Anything stand out about the rooms as far as the Magic goes? Dennis talked about maybe showing their age a little bit, but said they were still, very immaculate, well cleaned and everything like that. Did you notice anything different as far as that between the Dream and the Fantasy?
I noticed zero. To me, it was perfect. The usual perfectness.
Any tips for people traveling with younger kids now? I mean, your daughter's getting a little bit older, but as far as making use of the space in the rooms, Christy likes to bring her night lights and put them up all over the place so that she can see when she gets up.
That bathroom motion detector nightlight that hopefully I can give you the link, Steve. You can put it in the show notes is amazing because otherwise there is no nightlight in those cabins in the bathroom. And you have to click on the entire light for the entire bathroom that lights up the whole thing. This way you just open up that bathroom door and a little tiny light pops on just enough to go to the restroom in the middle of the night. It is perfect.
That is genius. We have those all over our house. And I never thought about, I'm only packing the essentials. So no, I don't pack anything fancy, but that is great. That's a great idea.
It's tiny. It's smaller than half of my hand, smaller than my palm, and it's rechargeable. So you're not blowing through little tiny batteries. You don't have to find a plug because for whatever reason, there are no plugs in those restrooms or bathrooms.
It's so true.
So it is brilliant.
Oh, that is a good idea. Yeah, no tips for me to give on the room.
That's okay. Let's go to the sail away. Were you guys fans of the sail away, going to the party? Obviously you're up there to kind of watch it as the ship left. Did you guys miss that at all?
I wouldn't say I guess I missed it just because it's just fun and cheesy and it's officially starting the cruise. So it was a good feeling. No, it was fine not having it. I guess if you're going back to things they removed, and that was obviously one of them. And if they never brought it back, I would still go on a Disney cruise. So yeah, it was just hey, we're leaving. Actually, when we left, I happened to be standing right by the horn. Oh. And that was a huge mistake because it was just it really just blasts your face right off. Because suddenly this horn's going off and That was crazy.
Because at least with a sail away party, they kind of give you a warning that it's going to go off, and here they just goes, and then you're going.
Exactly. We were just kind of walking around, from side to side, looking at stuff, and then we're out to sea.
Does your daughter swim usually that first day? Some people will pack their swimsuits in their carry-ons or carry them, or the little kids can wear them. Does she usually swim that first day?
We honestly don't swim very much on cruises just because we live in Orlando. And so swimming isn't like a big deal for us. But actually, we did pack her swimming suit. We ended up not swimming that day. I do like now that you have to kind of wait in line to get in the pools because they only want, 15 people in the pool. But no, we didn't swim that first day. I can't remember what we did. It must have been not that exciting because I don't remember at all.
You like that?
I mean, it's annoying when you have to wait in line. Like the ground is like hot lava and you're waiting in line. But it's kind of cool once you get in the pool because then you're not like on top of 1,000 kids. So it has its perks and it's not so perks.
So drawbacks of less than kid soup.
Yes, exactly.
If there's line. Was there a lot of lines on your cruise for the pool?
Not really, no. Just I remember one time I had to wait for the hot tub. I think my daughter waited for the pool one time. But yeah, nothing excessive.
Well, let's turn to dining. You guys went to Rapunzel's the first night. What was your dining rotation? And then I'm really curious to see what your thoughts were about Rapunzel's Royal Table.
Yeah, we had Rapunzel's and then another Rapunzel's right in a row. And then we had that middle one that I can never remember, the fancy one.
Lumiere's.
Then we had 2 Lumiere's, and then we had 1 Animator's palette on the last night.
Huh. That's kind of weird that they did it that way instead of breaking it up a little bit, but things are changing.
I know. Yeah, I didn't make any requests, but I was like, I really want 2 Rapunzels because I'd never been there. So I was very happy that I got 2 Rapunzels. Kind of bummed I didn't get 2 Animators, but I wasn't bummed enough to say anything and change it.
So Rapunzel's Royal Table, what did you think of the show? What did you think of the food? What did you think of just the whole ambiance of it? Are you a Tangled fan, I should ask?
Isn't everyone a Tangled fan, Steve? Everyone. But yes, it was awesome. The first night was not the show. It was just like you're in Rapunzel's and you're eating. It must be some random 4th menu that they have, but it was still awesome. It was kind of cool to see regular Rapunzel's. And then the next night was like show Rapunzel's. I'm looking at my pictures right now so I can remember what we did. And I took a picture of this one thing and I wish I remember what it was called, but it was like an egg roll, but the top was like cinnamon and sugar. And it was pretty big. It was an appetizer. And I was like, it was so good. And the rest of the cruise, I'm like, I want more of these random egg rolls. But then of course they were the random menu item. Also, I was too scared to ask, but my husband's like, no, they're not going to give you more egg rolls.
They would totally give you more.
I know.
As a person with a special dietary request, they will absolutely, if it is possible, and on that ship somewhere, give you more of the thing that you really want. So next time, ask. Don't be afraid.
I know. And then, so that was delicious for the random Rapunzel's night. For show Rapunzel's night, I think the big hit was the pretzel bread because I just love pretzel bread. And then the ridiculous dessert that's in a little frying pan. That was super cute.
Do you get to keep the frying pan?
No, it's like a legit, it's heavy. It's like a legit frying pan. I probably could have snuck it in my purse, but I didn't.
Like the animator knife before they started selling it.
Right,
that
exactly.
Everybody would just put in their purse.
So yeah, dinner was always great. You know me, I'm not much of a foodie. I actually just only order appetizers because I'm just always so full. I don't know what it is. I'm just, by 5 o'clock, I've just been eating 24 hours a day. And I can't handle cruise dinners. But yeah, my daughter and I always got 2 or 3 appetizers and we just shared them and it was fun.
I'm trying to look up what it was that you had and I cannot find it anywhere. You said it was an entree or an appetizer?
It was an appetizer. Maybe I'll do a little Googling while we talk too.
I wonder if that's new. Okay. What was your overall thoughts of the show? Did the thugs come out and everything like that? I remember when we went on it for the first time, our kids are a little bit younger and our youngest just had a blast playing around with the thugs. Was there a lot of interaction that way?
No, I think they were just on stage the whole time.
Okay.
They come out, you do your little wave in the napkin, and I think we were clapping and quacking like ducks or something. And then you'd eat for a little bit and they come back and make you sing the song again. So yeah, it sounds like they kind of toned it down a little because of COVID. Nobody walked around to tables. We were never close to anybody.
Well, let's move to the Lumieres and animators then. Did they end up having, just let's say with the show part of it, did they have kind of the princesses come through Lumieres like they have on the other ships? Did they do anything like that on your sailing?
No, one of our Lumiere's nights was pirate night. So we had the pirate menu. And then the second Lumiere's night, I just have zero memories of that. So and I also took zero pictures. Like I said, I'm looking at my pictures. I did take a picture of the samosas because I love those. Yeah, Lumiere's was just delicious per usual, but nothing extraordinary happened there.
And then, well, let's move to animators then. And what's your thoughts between, I want to peg you here. What's your thoughts between animators on the classic ships versus the Dream class ships?
I thought that the Fantasy was the only ship with the animators where you draw the little guy and he dances around. It's awesome, but it's on the Magic. I had no idea that was a thing.
I think it always used to be there.
I mean, it definitely wasn't when I was there 15 years ago. So yeah, that was amazing. I was so excited because I love doing that ridiculous thing. They don't let you keep your piece of paper anymore.
What?
Yeah, like, because our waiter was like, take a picture of these papers before I take them because you're not getting them back. So that was one, but what am I doing with those papers at home? They're
exactly nothing.
So I was fine with just taking a picture of it. But yeah, that was super exciting. Although since the tables are like super spread out, we were like 4 miles away from our little like viewing screen. So you could still see it, but we were like super far away. That was a major bonus for me on the Magic was the fact that Animators does the cool animation show.
They have it on the Wonder now too.
What?
Yep. We did it on the Wonder on our sailing down out of San Diego. So,
which kind of frustrates me. I mean, this is a really dumb thing to be complaining about, but on the Dream, if you have a 3 or a 4 night cruise, they're doing the Crush show instead of the animation show. And I like the animation show better. Would prefer that personally.
100%.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Is that new on the Wonder? I was on the Wonder in the summer of 19. And it wasn't there.
Yeah, it must be because it wasn't on there when we sailed on it previously. So they must have maybe have added it during COVID or whenever the last dry dock was, or whenever they would add something like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, we definitely did it on the Wonder. So anything else about dining then, Amber?
Not really. My husband was a huge fan of the shawarma. He wouldn't shut up about it. I mean, I'll be honest. The most exciting dining part for me is all the little desserts they have in cabanas. They're like a little tiny pumpkin pie and a little tiny, I don't know, they're very fancy. Every day, my daughter and I would get like 4 or 5 of them and take them. And I say 4 or 5, but one was always fruit and one was Jell-O. So maybe only 2 terrible for you desserts. And that was always like our little picnic was like 1,000 desserts from cabanas and they were all delicious.
Aw.
Well, I know you're also a big fan of the food places up on Deck 9 and get your French fries and all that type of stuff. They really added, I felt like they added some different pizzas and stuff like that this time that I hadn't seen before. Did you notice anything different up there for what you guys usually like to get?
I didn't notice anything different. I know pre-COVID, they always had like something new every day, like a French dip or chili. And this one just had the same thing every day, which again was fine. And this might be unpopular opinion. I have never had good pizza on any of these Disney cruises. Is that just me, or my pizza taste cannot be like that fine? But I think it's just awful. Like, to be honest, it's unedible for me, but I don't know. That's just me.
So I'm not missing anything is what you're saying.
I don't know. I think my daughter got some and I took a bite. I'm like, I can't even choke this down. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But the burgers, French fries, chicken fingers, delicious.
So did you try pizza on your other cruises this fall?
No, just because I remember pre-COVID, it was always so bad. So I didn't want to like waste calories on something I knew was going to be so terrible.
Waste stomach space. I get that. Exactly. So then you retook a bite on this cruise, on the Magic. Still terrible to Amber. Got it.
Yes, it reaffirmed my suspicions that it's not, like you said, not worth the stomach space. There's plenty of other delicious foods.
Well, let's get down to Deck 5 and talk about the kids' clubs a little bit. Did you have any problem either reserving space ahead of time or having your daughter go to the kids' clubs while you guys are on board? Or did she want to go? Did she use them?
Yeah, she used it all the time. We probably did it the twice a day, which is what you can reserve. I did 0 reserving ahead of time just because I wanted to look at the quote unquote navigator before, because it's like, what do I want to do? Where can I dump her off at the kids' club? But yeah, we had no problems getting like a morning and afternoon session for her. And she loved it. Yeah, no complaints. We did the, what's it called? Where you walk around beforehand, the open house.
Mm-hmm.
I think on day one, again, because we'd never been on the Magic before.
How are they doing that? Because aren't the kids club separate on the Magic? Where
yes.
And what I'm asking is, so on the fantasy and the dream, there's the club and the lab, but there's a hallway that connects them. But I'm trying to think of on the Wonder, at least, I feel like they were in two separate areas for the children.
They used to be. They're all connected now.
Okay.
But they're still I'll say they're very far away. The lab is right by the stairs. Like you go down the stairs, boom, there's the lab. And that's where you actually always dropped them off. So it's kind of cool. You were just dropping off at the lab, and then you pick them up at the club, which is like all the way down the hallway.
But they're connected, so they're connected. Get through them.
Yeah, there's just like a long hallway that you can't see or get to, but it's just like a tube hallway between the two. So yeah, it was great. It worked out perfect. She loved it. She never complained. She had her little bag they give you a bag of like markers and stuff, so you don't touch other people's markers. And she got her pillowcase, which she's always a big fan of. And she would say there was characters every once in a while. I think she mentioned Stitch, a Green Army Man, maybe Tiana. I might have made that up. Yeah, she had a blast. Highly recommend it.
Blake had a lot of characters on his cruises this fall as well on Disney Cruise Line. So just randomly, they don't really tell you for the most part. Sometimes there would be something about a story time or something like that. But for the most part, they don't tell you that that is happening. So if your kid happens to be there, then they get the benefit of that character.
I'm going to reach into my sports cliches now, but before that, Christy, you're right. I know the Wonder, you used to have to, they were not connected, but they connected them at some time in a dry dock. Amber, I know you're a baller when it comes to trivia. How did that work out for you guys? And what did you guys end up doing as far as you and your husband when your daughter was in the kids clubs? What kind of fun things did you guys do on board?
We did attempt some trivias and just like not even close to anything. I'm going to give a shout out to, I think her name was Tisha. Tisha sounds familiar. She's worked there for like 20 years. And I don't know if I say, write it down, that's Tisha. And it was so funny because we saw her, we did a Marvel craft where we had to like cut out an Iron Man mask. And then my husband's like, I think that's the Write It Down girl from like the fantasy from 5 years ago. So I went and asked her, she's like, that's me. Oh my gosh. So she was a blast, but we did a trivia with her. It was movie quotes trivia. And it was the hardest thing in the world. Like we were getting nothing right. And usually with trivia, you're like feeling kind of good. I'm just mentioning this because it was out of 40 and the winner got 21 right.
Oh, geez.
And that just felt very unusual for Disney Cruise Line to have like the most impossible trivia of all time. But yeah, nothing. We did go see Shang-Chi for a second time. And we also saw The Eternals. That movie came out, I think, the day before our cruise. So those were two activities we did while my daughter was in the kids club. And then a couple trivias here and there, but nothing to write home about this time.
We got our butts kicked in that same movie trivia. And matter of fact, we went to the very first one, and the guy that was doing it, and I have to give a shout out to Tisha too. She's awesome. She was on when we were in the Mediterranean. She had us like in stitches. She's a character. But the guy that was doing the movie trivia for the first one that we went to, you guys, trust me, come back to the second one. This one's impossible. So they must have come up with somebody must have been bored over COVID, come up with some serious tough questions on that first one.
Oh my gosh, seriously, it was so hard. But it was so fun.
He goes, come back for the second one. You'll feel much better about yourself. So
nice.
Did you guys go see Tangled?
Yes. And I wish I could remember. This was a 5-night cruise. So we had 5 shows. We only went to 2 shows. I think Tangled was twice in a row. And then the one where the girl's in her room and Peter Pan shows up. That one was twice in a row. Oh, I know. And then the 5th show was Eternals, because again, it had just come out. So they showed that in the Walt Disney Theater one day. But we saw it in the Buena Vista Theater some other time. So yeah, we did 1 Tangled and 1 Peter Pan and the girl who's getting ready for the first day of middle school show.
Chris's favorite.
Clearly, it's also my favorite based on how I'm describing it.
What did you guys think of Tangled? How did it compare to the movie?
It was good. I'm not a fan of live productions. So it was like, I'm fine with it, but I'd rather watch a movie. That's just my personality. But it was great. My daughter loved it. And like I said, you were super spread out. We sat pretty darn close, which I kind of like. So it was pretty cool just to be that close to the stage. And it was something to do. It was fun.
Well, let's start with the Christmas stuff. You talked about doing an Iron Man mask, which I think I remember seeing that like on Instagram or something like that, where you quoted how tough it was.
Seriously, it was so hard. Like, thankfully, some 7-year-old completed theirs and like showed it to Tisha, and she showed it to everybody because I'm like, I can't figure this thing out. But honestly, there was not that much Christmas stuff. And it was, I think our first full day was the day at sea. And that's when all the Christmas stuff was. And I saw a lot of people on the Facebook group complaining that like they never saw Santa and they were just like unaware of things that were going on. Because honestly, Santa was only out that first morning for 2 sessions. And then he was also out right before dinner that night, but it was only that one day. That day was also story time with Mrs. Claus, and that was only 2 times. So this day I was like, listen, family, we're going to do boom, but like, we're going to go see Santa. Then we're going to go see these characters in the lobby. Then we're going to this Mrs. Claus thing. Then we're going to see Eternals. Like I'm on a strict schedule right now. Nobody messed me up. We did miss the characters in the lobby. And I'm so bummed because it was Spider-Man and Captain Marvel, just randomly, just random Marvel characters in the lobby for some reason. But yeah, we saw Santa, we were probably 12 feet away from him, but it was still cool. He was standing next to the tree and he was very animated. And then the story time with Mrs. Claus was cool. It was in the D lounge and we were like first in line because I was real antsy that day. So we sat right up front. She just read 2 stories. And then she's like, oh, I have a surprise for you. And I was like, come on, gingerbread cookies. But it was actually Mickey and Minnie in their little holiday gear. And so then they were on stage and you could get a little bit closer and take a picture with them. And by take a picture, I mean, I had to beg some other random family to touch my phone because the crew members still will not touch your own telephone. And then on occasion, we would run into like full-on characters and full-on old-timey gear singing songs in the lobby. And then we saw Santa Goofy a couple times. But again, you're so far away from them that in my opinion, I don't wait in line for those characters anymore. You're just so far away. I take terrible selfies just in general. So we kind of looked at them from afar and then moved along. But honestly, there wasn't any cookie decorating, which I feel like that used to be a thing in the past. Or like
it used to be a whole gingerbread house.
I remember it was like a big deal, right?
Yeah, then it went to a cookie.
Okay.
And now apparently we're not doing that anymore.
I saw nothing. Like I said, I was really like antsy about the Christmas stuff. There is a cool gingerbread house in the lobby, of course, that smells amazing, but not too much like quote unquote holiday stuff besides that one day, to be honest.
Were they selling gingerbread cookies anywhere? Or
I didn't see any.
So Steve is shaking his head no. So apparently on the Dream, they didn't sell them either.
I'm kind of getting the feeling like this is, I mean, from all the people we've talked to and then experiencing Halloween in the high season, the Very Merrytime cruise ourselves, it's kind of an oversell on what they're saying. I mean, the ships are decorated. I think that you can get a little bit of that. Like I know that like Brian from Utah, they had a kind of a full day doing some Halloween stuff on their cruise, but I think you really have to look for it and not expect that it's going to be on that whole cruise. Because if you don't look for it, you're going to miss it. Because I remember Mrs. Claus and Santa Claus both had a story time, but it was like one day and they were like back to back. And if you missed it, it was like, you're not going to get another chance at it. So
they were at the same time too. It was like, you got Santa or Mrs. Claus.
Oh.
And then, so they had it twice. So I'm like, okay, we're doing Santa first, then we're going to Mrs. Claus. But if we miss one of these, like we're done. That's it. So I was like, we're doing this, deal with it, everybody. And you can make it what it is. Like my daughter and I wore Christmas stuff the whole week. We made my husband pack one Christmas t-shirt. We had our Christmas masks on, Christmas ears. They didn't sell any Christmas ears. I was super bummed. I was prepared for once to buy something and there was no Christmas ears. So I'm glad I brought some from home. But yeah, it was really that one day. And then of course, Castaway is beautiful as well with the giant.
Oh my God. I cannot wait to see that tree. That is one of the things I am most excited about is the Castaway tree.
It's so cute. I took 0 pictures of it for some reason, but it was
I'll get some cute this week.
Okay. Thank you.
Chrissy, we kind of cut you off your thoughts. Did you have some thoughts about the Christmas cruises?
Well, I think we just need to look at it like Marvel Day at Sea and Star Wars Day at Sea. It is a day. So if we temper, especially after Amber's recollection, and since she's so good at her to-do list and looking to see what all the options are, we can say, all right, now we just have to know if you are going, at least for now, and it might be different next year. We don't know. But if you're going on a Christmas cruise, a Maritime cruise, plan on there being one day of activities.
I think you had a good point too, Amber, in all honesty, because we did sort of the same thing where we brought some clothes to dress up, and it wasn't so much about what Disney Cruise Line provided for the experiences. It was more just kind of the feeling of being there together with our family at that time. And I'm going to go on a total side note here because I was thinking about this guy last night, but there was a family at the kind of dance party after the fireworks. It was this huge African-American guy, and he had this like little 3-year-old son and then his wife. And they were all wearing the exact same pajamas, and they were just rocking it up in front of the stage. They're having the greatest time. And like, I had to go up to them the next day. So I went at the pool and I go, dude, you guys made our family's night, man. You guys were like so joyous dancing up there. I just loved it. And so I think, it's kind of being together as you're with family and friends and just kind of experiencing that time of year together too, I guess.
I will toss out one more thing. You know how they always have the backdrops in the lobby where you can take pictures? And they had either 1 or 2 Christmas backdrops, and they were always different. Like there was some snow at one day, and then there was like a fireplace one day. And then of course they had the usual pirate one. And then I can't remember the other ones, but so I saw a lot of people in the lobby who had their full on PJs or like, we're taking our Christmas card today with this cool backdrop. So that was another Christmas thing that they did do periodically throughout the cruise.
Well, before we get to Castaway, because we need to touch on that, what are your thoughts on the fireworks?
Like they were cool, but again, I took one picture of it.
What time were yours? Like 10:30 or 8:30 ish?
I don't remember. I feel like it was 10-ish because I remember hearing
for you too.
Yeah, that was super late. The picture I'm looking at it is just me and my daughter. I think my husband had already gone to sleep. Like they were cool, but it was like 10 minutes of fireworks and that's it. So like, I'm not saying it's not worth it, but like we waited for kind of a long time and I'm like, oh, those are the fireworks, but it's still awesome to see fireworks at sea. Oh, they do have hot chocolate, by the way, in the drink station.
Right.
I think because it's the Magic and the Magic goes to cold places. So we got hot chocolate that night, like just to try to be cool, even though it was like 1 billion degrees outside. So it's cool. You're super spread out. You can see them from everywhere. So it was good times.
All right, Christy, get us on a Castaway.
So your cruise had 2 stops at Castaway Cay. Tell us what you did. Did you get off both days?
We did get off both days just because we knew we weren't getting off at Nassau. So this was like the day 1, we did like the usual Castaway stuff. Pelican plunge, snorkeling. We got that package where you get the snorkel, the raft, and the bike. And I think that's the only 3 things you get. So we attempted to like teach my daughter to ride a bike. She doesn't know how to ride a bike. So we're like, let's teach her on Castaway. That obviously didn't work at all, but it was
those
fun.
Bikes. I feel like those bikes are very troubled.
Yeah, it was fun for 5 minutes. But we then we got some training wheel bikes and rode together to the overlook thing.
Did your daughter snorkel?
No, this is the first time she's ever gone to Scuttle's Cove.
Yes.
And like, I don't know why we never took her there before because I'm always trying to dump her off in the kids club.
This year was our first time we ever took Blake to Scuttle's Cove too. So who even knows? Scuttle's Cove is the kids club on Castaway. So you don't make reservations as of right now, which just drop in. It's open usually only until like 1 or 2. So keep that in mind, even though the island goes much later. And then you would take them to the traditional kids club on the ship after that with a reservation. But did she enjoy it? Did she talk about what she did?
She did enjoy it. We actually snorkeled and then went back to see if she was having fun or not. And she chose to leave. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's weird. But she did have fun while she was there. I was super nervous because I had overheard people say like, we can only have 15 kids in Scuttle's Cove. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's nothing.
But nobody knows about it, I think, too.
I don't know. When we got there, it looked like there was a bunch of kids. And I was like, are we too late? Like, no. Like, what are you talking about? Come on in. So, yeah, that was fun. She had fun doing that. We saw there was the characters in their Christmas gear also on Castaway.
Like, and then Christmas swimsuits or
sweaters.
Oh,
I think they were kind of all, we saw Donald at one point in a sweater, and then we saw regular Castaway swimming suit Donald later that day. So yeah, Castaway day one was just like normal Castaway things. And then I saw people walking around with a 5K medal. And I was like, yo, where did you get that? Because it's not on the Navigator. Because again, I'm kind of anal about reading the Navigator. I'm like, oh, you just go to the bike rack, where you get the bikes.
Oh.
So I went over there and they're like, yeah, just any time throughout the day, you just start running and then you go get your medal. And they're like, you're like, we're open till 4 or whatever, just any time. They're like, if you want to go run at 3 p.m. in the hottest time of the day, go for it. And then you just come pick up your medal when you're done. So we did that on day 2.
Did you all do it?
No, I know my daughter would be such a wuss. So again, we dropped her off at Scuttles Cove. My husband and I, we actually did an alternate 5K. We walked down to Serenity Bay, and off to the right of Serenity is another like long road. And that's where the cabanas are. So we're like, what's this road? Let's check it out. We walked down this road for what felt like 12 years. This road was so long. There was nobody around at all. We're like, where are we going? We got to the end. It was just like, there's a beach that you can't go to. We turned around to walk back and then walked down the loop. And then we called that a 5K. So we either totally cheated or totally did way more than 3 miles. But it was cool because walking that loop twice is kind of boring. Let's face it. So then we got a little medal. We picked her up and then we went back to the ship super early that day. My daughter was the only one in the pool, the only one on the yellow Mickey slide. I think that day we did the aqua dunk for the first time. We got our 27 desserts from Cabanas, and that was our chill day.
I love it. What did you think of aqua dunk or aqua duck?
The aqua dunk is terrifying. Have you guys done this?
Well, I haven't. I don't do slides.
Horrifying. Like I did it twice, but like you're getting in this tube and then they're like slowly closing the door on your, on your grave. Then thankfully it's 3, 2, 1 drop. So it's going. I can just imagine they just like open your foot door without any warning. And then you're just going 100 miles an hour and then boom, you're done. So I was like, this was just crazy.
Did your daughter do it?
So yeah, we made her do it. We're like, this is a fun ride. You'll love it. And I'm like, she's going to hate it so much. She did it twice, like shockingly. And then we never did it again. But yeah, the fun one, the aqua duck, 100 times better in my opinion. Because you can do that multiple times. You're just chilling on a fun water slide. This is just 10 seconds of fear. I don't see the appeal. Like, I'm glad I did it because now I can say I did it, but yikes.
I love it. Actually, if it was just a little bit longer, did you notice though, when they go 3, 2, 1, I shouldn't give this away, but it goes 3, 2, 1 and you think it's going to go and it hesitates for a second before it drops because you're thinking it's going to drop right away and it hesitates because it's funny to watch people's faces when you kind of know that because they kind of get nervous and then all of a sudden it drops and their eyes just go boom, just huge.
I think I was too scared to like know what was going on. So I did not notice that. And actually totally off topic. Again, this was our second Castaway day. So we did the 5K, swam all by ourselves in the pool. And then they had open house at Vibe and Edge. Like, and 1 hour in, I don't know, Vibe is the junior high one, the younger kids.
Edge is the junior high, Vibe's the older.
So we went to Edge first. They had it. I was not impressed with Edge. It was just very small. It was just like one room. We did play like some dancing game on a Jumbotron, but then we went to Vibe. So that's like the high school one. That was amazing. Have you guys been on Vibe on the Magic? It's freaking awesome. It's like you're inside one of the smokestacks. So it's like a cool view. They have again a huge TV. They had like a Wii in the background. So my daughter and I stayed an hour in both of those, just like hanging out. They had like a make your own bracelet in one of them and she colored something in one of them. But yeah, if you've never been there, it was
never
cool.
thought to do the open house at those clubs. What a good idea.
Same. Because again, what's the junior high one?
Edge.
Yeah. All right. So we did Edge first and I like walk in. I'm like, can we come in here? Because it wasn't like, come on in. So the counselor was like, yeah, just you got an hour to do whatever you want. And then they closed that down, sanitized it. We went over to Vibe for another hour. So that was kind of our activities for that day. It was super fun. I had never been in either one. So it was just cool to see what they were all about.
The Edge is a total afterthought on the Magic of the Wonder. Unfortunately, they put it in where the arcade used to be.
That's what I thought. It was definitely like a closet.
Yeah. It's a totally small space. So it's kind of an afterthought, unfortunately, for the Magic. The good thing is I think that like my son had a blast when he went to the Edge this time. And I think they do a lot of fun things with the kids together when there's kids there. The space is really small. So I think they get them out doing a lot of like scavenger hunts around the ship and doing things like that, unfortunately, on those ships.
That was my thought. Obviously I'm in there playing with my daughter. If there was like a bunch of kids her own age, she would have had a blast anywhere. So I can see how it'd be fun for kids who are hanging out with their friends for sure. But you're right. That one was kind of just a small closety room, but the other one was like big and there's like a huge window that overlooks just everything. It was awesome.
I think they have a smoothie bar I don't know if they have it on the older ships, but I know they have it on the newer ships. So
they had some sort of bar. It looked like coffee, but it wasn't open at the time. But there was definitely some bar situation up there.
Get them ready for when they get older, huh, Christy?
Well, I
shouldn't say that.
Amber and I, who are the most frugal people on the planet. And like, how is that going to work when our children charge $1 million at the smoothie bar? I can't imagine that's going to fly.
That's a good point. I got to plan this out. I've got 10 more years till this is a problem for me.
You've got charging ability
Not
everywhere
quite.
except for here.
Way less than 10 years.
Oh, no. They had super random ice cream flavors on this cruise.
Oh.
There's always the chocolate vanilla swirl. And then the one day there's the banana strawberry swirl. But they had, and I just took a picture of it, but it was like coconut and pineapple one day. And the next day was like strawberry coconut. That was like super fun and different. I had never seen that before in my whole life. I guess, that was the only other random tidbit. I was very excited about and they had churro waffles.
You have had that. Is it in Cabanas or?
It's in Cabanas. When I was on the Fantasy in late September, they had it for like one day. But this one, it was every day. I actually never got a regular waffle, which I'm not complaining about, but I would have enjoyed like a little variety on the waffles. But I thought that was exciting. Churro waffles.
I need a churro waffle. That's all there is to it. Sometime during I'm going to write this on my little fantasy note sheet that I've taken, and I'm going to write down churro waffle.
They were in Cabanas every morning.
So Nassau, you guys, I know this because we talked about it ahead of time. You guys stayed on board the ship.
Oh yeah. I completely forgot we even went to Nassau because that was just a day at sea for us. Because the rule was if you're unvaccinated, which my daughter was at the time, you have to be on like a Disney excursion. So we're like, there's nothing that exciting to warrant me paying a lot of money to get off at Nassau. So yeah, we basically had a day at sea, 2 days at Castaway, and then another quote unquote day at sea, and then back to Miami.
We got off, my dad and I and our oldest son, because he was old enough to get off. We just kind of wandered around Nassau. I would say probably only about a third of the things were even open, which I'd never really been there before, kind of exploring the town, but just like kind of in the whole straw market area people talk about, that wasn't even open at all. They were like,
oh,
yeah. So if you're not doing an excursion, I'm not sure if there's really too much to do or see if you're just going to wander around by the port area. Just FYI, if anybody's sailing anytime soon. Because
you're right. The straw market, as everyone says, like, get off, go there, come right back on. But that's interesting that it wasn't even open.
I mean, there was a couple places that were open, but it was like you could wander through, but it didn't even look like they were taking customers. It was almost like they were doing inventory or getting things ready or something. I don't know what was going on, but it was kind of odd, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we know that you know how to save money on a Disney ship. Do you have any tips? And I don't mean that badly whatsoever. Do you have any tips for people, like how to make the most of their Disney cruise if they don't want to spend a bunch of money?
Well, tip number 1 is remind your husband to pack his beer card, because he forgot his little token, the beer token, that where you get a giant beer for the price of a normal size beer. So we had to buy another beer token this cruise. So now we have 2 beer tokens, but he did bring a 6-pack for himself and quote unquote 6-pack for me on the cruise. So we saved tons of beer money there. Yeah, honestly, he bought a couple beers and I bought 1 photo, and that was our cruise. We probably spent about $70 altogether. and we had a blast.
There's so much included in your cruise, right, Christy? That, I mean, you don't feel like you need to spend a ton of money on it.
Yeah. Half the time I can get by too with spending very little money, especially if you prepay your gratuities ahead of time, then
yes.
there's not much left, that you have to get charged for. We actually did an episode with Amber about what is included on a Disney cruise.
And you're pulling it up right now. I can tell you're typing. Google it.
I am. In episode 207, we discussed what is included on a Disney cruise. So you can go back and look for that. You can either go to bclpodcast.com and look for it, or anywhere podcasts are played. And Amber and I talk about all the ways we squeeze a penny on a Disney cruise. Before we leave, this was a cruise. This cruise was 5 nights or longer. And Disney, and I don't know if this is a CDC rule or what, but every child over or that is unvaccinated or has to be COVID tested before disembarking. What happened with that?
You know what? And I completely forgot about this. I feel like it was day 3 or 4. We had a note in our room the night before, and I'll be honest, my husband answered the door because they knocked at like 7 a.m. or some ridiculous time. Again, I wasn't really involved, but yeah, I think they just did the nose swab for my daughter, and then they left it in the room. It's kind of like a pregnancy test where it's like, if you have 2 lines, you have COVID. 1 line, you don't, or something. Because I was like, what are you guys doing? And then I guess they came back later to get it. It was pretty quick. You have to wait like 15 minutes for the lines to show up. So yeah, I don't have a lot of details, but you reminded me of that just now. I completely forgot. So yeah, that is a thing.
Did they like set up the time ahead of time? Do you remember that? Or did they just
definitely not. Cause I would not have picked 7 a.m. as the time for that. I feel like the letter said
be sleeping at 7.
I feel like the letter might've said like, we'll come between these 2 times, like you got 7 and 9 a.m. Yeah. I wish I had more details, but you're right. That is a thing to pay attention to.
And what could you remind everybody again, Christy, is it 5 nights or longer that they do that?
Yes.
Okay. Is that on all cruise lines or is that just, do you know?
This is what I don't know. Like, Oddly enough, on Celebrity's 3-night cruise, and they didn't do test cruises. So I don't know if that has to do with it. But on Celebrity's 3-night cruise, Blake had to be tested for a 3-night cruise. So he had to get tested before he showed up at the port. He had to get tested at the port, and he had to get tested before he got off the ship for a 3-night cruise. And then I know for Disney, it's 5 nights or longer. And I honestly don't know for the other cruise lines what their deal is. Somebody will have to tell us and let us know.
Okay, we'll do some research on that. And if anybody else knows and wants to reach out, we'll make sure we get that information out. Well, so you guys get back to Miami. Any thoughts about disembarkation? You get back on a sketchy bus, takes you back to your car, back home to Orlando. Any thoughts about just the whole getting off the ship and heading back to Orlando?
Did you have breakfast that last day too?
We did probably go to Cabanas. I think we went to Cabanas. My husband was in a real hurry to get home, and I don't know why, because we had nothing to do. I mean, I had to go back to work. He didn't, but he was just like real antsy to get home for some reason. But we have, on the past 3 cruises, we've done this where we don't put our luggage out the night before. We just walk it off. And that is my favorite thing ever. Like, yeah, it's kind of a pain to carry your luggage, but you're just zoom. Like, you don't have to worry about packing the night before. You're trying to have fun that night. So yeah, we kind of were in line in the lobby for the 8 o'clock walk off. Again, we were in such a hurry for some reason. We walked right off, got on the sketchy bus, got in our car, and we were home in 4 hours. So piece of cake.
Love it. Well, before we kind of find out what's next for you, I'm going to put you on the spot one more time. Since you live in the Orlando area and you get the opportunity to go to the parks like Christy, do you have, kind of a non-cost favorite thing that you and your family do around the Walt Disney World area? Or I guess you could even say Universal, that puts you in the Christmas spirit for people who may be coming next year?
Well, I can't really say non-cost because it's the cost of an annual pass, but we've been trying to get to each one of the parks just to see like the Christmas tree. We just went to Studios a couple days ago. They have the Frozen show, which is always there, but they add a little Christmas shenanigans at the end. Actually, tomorrow we're going to the Polynesian with our DVC points to like see all the gingerbread stuff. Rumor has it there's a gingerbread giraffe at Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Yes, I have seen the pictures. I was actually going to try to go today. You should definitely go. It looks adorable. I've only seen pictures.
These are all, of course, high cost things because I had to buy an annual pass and a Disney Vacation Club membership.
But then there's no additional cost once you're enjoying it.
Exactly. I'm going to go way off topic for 1 second because I forgot something. Are you guys familiar with at the Magic Kingdom? They used to do this. You used to wait in a line for hours and hours, and you could take a picture with Rapunzel's lantern over by the bathrooms.
Yes.
They had that on the ship in Rapunzel's. And it was for like a 4-hour time frame. It was a huge time frame. So we got the cutest pictures of my daughter just standing there, like holding the lantern. Aww. And there's like a cute background. So that was a really cool surprise. Because like I said, at the Magic Kingdom, you're waiting for hours to get this photo. And here we waited like 10 minutes. So that's another plus of the magic is you get some cute Rapunzel-y photos. All right, Steve, back to what you were talking about for Christmas.
No, that's a good point. With those magic shots around the ship, they're kind of, they don't necessarily advertise them because they do them up on the pool deck. I know on the Wonder, and they do some fun shots with the Captain Mickey and Captain Minnie with you, along with other ones. So definitely, if you're sailing on the ships anytime soon, look for those magic shots because there's some really cute ones you can get.
Yeah, they did a cute one where she was like holding the lantern, which is real. It's like a real lantern, but then like Pascal's on her shoulder. Obviously, you have to buy that photo. So I don't have that in my possession, but I do have cute ones I took with my phone of her holding the lantern.
Anyways, back to Christmas. Any other thoughts as far as people coming down there to like put them in the Christmas spirits around the parks or resorts?
I mean, I'm going to go off the rails and recommend Universal Studios because they do Christmas really well. The Grinch show is phenomenal. Meeting the Grinch, he's just a hot mess and he's so much fun. And their decorations are great too. So if you get a chance to go to Universal, don't sleep on it. They do some cool stuff for the holidays.
But if people are not getting over to Universal and it's like a pre-cruise stay during the time that Christmas holiday decorations are up at Walt Disney World, even going to the resorts to have a meal. So obviously you have to pay for the meal. And you really do at a lot of resorts have to have a reservation either at a resort or have a dining reservation to be able to get into park. But you can take Disney transportation if you are wanting to go and park at the Magic Kingdom parking lot, for example, and then drive around to see stuff. But the decorations are amazing. And that will put you instantly in the Christmas spirit if you can get past the parking headache.
Everybody obviously knows about the Grand Floridian and their giant gingerbread stuff in the lobby, but don't sleep on the Beach and Yacht Club because they have a giant gingerbread carousel. And this year,
it's amazing.
This year it's like Little Mermaid themed. So that's a pretty big, and you can park at studios possibly for free if you're staying on property, hop on the Skyliner, which is fun in its own right, and then walk on over to Beach Club. So, because parking at Beach Club is a nightmare. There's no way you're parking there unless you have a reservation.
Unless you have a dining reservation. A lot of decorations stay up through Marathon Weekend, which is super late. So do you think they're going to be up that late? Because Marathon Weekend is, the second weekend the second weekend of January. And then are the resort decorations up or usually just the park decorations? I feel like it's just the park.
Yeah, because I've done the marathon a couple times. I remember like running around and there's lights out. But yeah, so I guess the thing is like, don't count on it, but just be pleasantly surprised if you see some stuff. But yeah, my gut says they probably do the resorts first and then the parks.
Put those up
I'm
last.
Totally guessing.
They take them down first.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, Amber, thank you so much for all you've done for our podcast. Thanks for doing the takeovers on Instagram. I always get a kick out of it, even though I'm the old guy in the room and not on there as much.
I wish I tried to be inspired by you with posts. I cannot do it, Amber. You are just hilarious and we really appreciate it. So thank you.
I've been kind of slacking lately. So when this...
You have.
Yeah, I have.
I'm just kidding.
No, December, I can't handle it. What is it? December's over already.
Yeah, I know. It's insane. If you want to know, listeners, any of the lame, boring posts, that is Christy posting. Any of the exciting, funny, this is so cute, that's Amber posting.
Okay. Thank you, Christy.
Well, you guys are a family that's always on the move, Amber. What's next for you guys and your family? And I'm sure that if something isn't scheduled, something will between now and your next cruise.
That's very true. We do have a spring break cruise on Royal Caribbean. a bunch of our neighbors are going. So it's kind of like, a bunch of neighbors are going. So that's why we picked Royal Caribbean for that. And then we do have the Wish booked. This is my first non-Florida resident cruise ever. So I booked this a year in advance. We have the Wish for next Labor Day. We have 4 nights on the Wish for Labor Day 2022.
Yeah. And she didn't pick Labor Day weekend, which is when I am going. She picked the actual day of Labor Day to leave.
I wanted 4 nights on the Wish versus 3 nights on the Wish.
An amazing price too. So well done.
I mean, I don't want to say it was so cheap, but
I mean, it's for the Wish or for Disney, it was a good price.
Yeah, it was like a normal Disney cruise line price when I booked it, versus early Wish was like 5 times the normal price.
Well, we look forward to hearing your thoughts about Royal Caribbean when you get back, if you come on and talk to us about that. And anything between now and the Wish, we always want to have you back, Amber. Always enjoy catching up with you. Hope to see you down there marathon weekend if you guys are around the parks or can run into you then, no pun intended. And that was
you intended it.
I did intend
you intended it.
But always look, and we definitely look forward to hearing your thoughts on the Wish when you get off that, especially, being in a new ship and everything like that. So once again, Amber, thank you so much for all you do. And before we get out of here, I guess I know you have is it Etsy shop, or am I out to lunch? What are you still running that?
You are hip and cool, Steve. Yes.
Do you want to give
an Etsy shop?
Do you want to give a plug for that before we get out of here?
Sure. The shop is Amber in FL, like Amber in Florida. Amber in FL. Which is
also your Instagram handle. That is your personal handle.
And I sell masks. So shockingly, people are still buying them and I'm still making them. So Amber in FL. They're
super cute and super inexpensive.
They are super inexpensive. And my mom is my official fabric shopper. So the cuteness, I'm going to give that kudos to my mom because she's obsessed with going to Joann's every other day and shopping for fabrics for me. And then there you go. Oh, it's Amber. It's not Amber in the NFL. Like I'm not playing professional football. It's just Amber in FL.
So as we like to do on our show is to support small businesses. If you are looking for a mask and want to do that, go over and check that out. And make sure you give Amber a follow on Instagram as well, because you can follow all of her and her family's adventures, and especially the Disney Cruise Line ones. So once again, thanks so much, Amber, for coming on. Thanks for sharing your experiences on the Disney Magic. And on behalf of myself and Chris, who's not here today, and I'll let Christy say it to you as well, but just all the best to you over the holidays. Happy holidays. And we look forward to seeing you in the next year.
Happy holidays to you too, Steve and Christy. And Chris, who's not here right now.
Bye. Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Once again, I really want to thank Amber for coming on and sharing her and her family's experiences as they sailed on the beautiful Disney Magic this past Christmas time out of Miami. Looking ahead, we still have a couple more Christmas cruises coming to you, even though we're moving into the new year. Just so many people are sailing over the holidays. We also have a sailing aboard the Disney Dream over New Year's, which we'll be bringing to you. And one of our good friends is on board the Disney Fantasy this week as he and his family are experiencing Star Wars Day at Sea. So look for that one in the coming weeks as well. Well, if you enjoyed this show, we sure would appreciate it if you'd pass it on to somebody else who enjoys Disney cruising or just traveling with Disney in general. That helps us get the word out in the Disney cruising, Disney travel, and just the cruising community. We do appreciate that from each and every one of you. Also, if you have time to go over to iTunes and leave us a review, that helps us get a little bit better known on the algorithms. It gets our show, up there in the numbers so that people can find it as well. We'd like to give a huge shout out to our Patreon supporters. They help bring this show to you each and every week without any type of commercials in it whatsoever. If you'd like to find out more about our Patreon program to support our show, you can go over to patreon.com/DCL podcast and find out all the information there. Well, January is coming to an end. We're moving into February. Valentine's Day will be right around the corner. And believe it or not, that brings on March and spring break. So for all of you out there planning your vacations, getting ready to sail with Disney Cruise Line, heading down to Walt Disney World, maybe going out on Adventures by Disney with Adventures by Disney, or getting ready to run Princess Weekend, on behalf of myself, Steve, Christy, and Chris, all of us here at the DCL Podcast, we want to wish you and your families be well. Enjoy the time you have with each other on the road, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.